as always, we keep special track on what's happening, well, in space, and that's literally the name of the space program that India is developing, along with the fact that ISRO is now kicking off its launch calendar after, well, COVID. By the 15th of August, we are going to have a brand spanking new 2.2 ton satellite, 36,000 kilometers in orbit. Is going to have high resolution cameras, will be able to monitor the entire region around India with real-time capabilities. And they used to call it remote sensing. I wonder what they call it now. It's going to be really important, and more important is the fact that a launch schedule is now falling back into action. And you know what that means. That means potentially coming up launch with Indians on board, Gagannauts. Let me open up this conversation. Surinder Pal Singh, former ISRO scientist, joining us on the broadcast. Dr. V.N. Jha, who's former Joint Director of DRDO. Dr. P.K. Ghosh, a space scientist. Arun Radhakrishnan is joining us, and ksiddhartha. ksiddhartha, for now, everybody who's going to be a space startup in the country is not going to be a rocket launching startup, right? They're going to have uses of data that is already emerging, maybe from ISRO, maybe later on from private companies. So now that we have enhanced capability, and every few months is going to be enhancing, what do we recommend to people watching this broadcast? What is possible now that has a commercial opportunity?
Thanks for this question, Rishabh. Effectively, this GISAT is going to be very, very different and a game changer in the whole of the country for a variety of reasons. One of them is that it is maybe some of these panelists have somehow missed it. It has a Riche-Crashian telescope, which is based on the design of Cartosat 2A. Now that goes on to mean this is the same type of a telescope that we are going to be using in the Hubble as well. Now that will go on to mean it can go on to have not only high resolution, but any amount of a movement that is going to be taking place not only at the borders of the tank of the people as well. And when I say people, it basically means that by remote sensing in this case will go to mean that I will go to have a temperature. So my image on the photographic plate of this satellite will be very different from that of a goat, which will be radiating some amount of energy at a different temperature, because it is multispectral. That means it goes on to combine a lot of a spectrum as well in this case. So one opportunity in this case is you can go on to know all the type of resources. You can also go on to know which is the type of a disease that a plant is suffering from. Because when the plants start suffering from a disease, then the green coloration of these plants go on to change to slightly yellowish. Now a green color will go on to emit a different wavelength of radiation, and a yellow coloration will be at a different wavelength. And now mind it, this is in geostationary orbit. It is not in a sun synchronous orbit. Now that means it can go on to track the change of a particular place at 5 minutes interval, and of the whole of the country at every 30 minutes. That means how fast the disease is spreading, one can go to know that as well.
Okay, so you're basically saying, okay, now let me just translate all of that. So you're basically saying, number one, if on Earth you have a telescope pointing up into space, which has something, let me use the word optical zoom. Okay, it has optical zoom. Yeah, just hang a second, sir. Let me just translate that, because that's the reason we're having a public telecast. So now you have the resolution is the number of pixels the camera can take. Okay, the telescopic part is the optical zoom, and the fact that it is multispectral, which means it can capture wavelengths beyond what the human eye can see, so infrared and ultraviolet. And basically the refresh rate for a particular site is every few minutes, and for the entire country every 30 minutes. So imagine the image of India live from space, buffering every 30 minutes. So you can create a time lapse, and then you can utilize AI and algorithms to measure the time lapse to do the stuff that Professor Siddhartha has been pointing out. Okay, let me just, Professor Siddhartha, take it on that other tangent I was trying to take it on to, that, today if you want to monitor flights taking off and all over the world, you can download an app called Flight Radar, and you can track them. I don't know, my father has it, he even pays a subscription for it, for what reason I don't know, he just likes watching planes moving around. So there are commercial opportunities which are already available, right? There are the foreign companies that are offering here on the internet. Where do you see the opportunity here for Indian startups? Things that seem like a joke actually, end up having a purpose.
See, what exactly GSAT is going to do is that it is going to make your data very, very cheap. It is one of those satellites which has a phased array antenna. That means in a phased array antenna, an electronically scanned array, a computer-controlled array of antennas, which creates a beam of radio wave that can be electronically steered to a point in different directions without actually moving the antenna. Now that means that the whole of the data can going to be very cheap. That is going to be one. Second is, now when you are going to be talking about day-to-day activities and day-to-day images in this case, then you have a 30-minute resolution, you have a 5-minute resolution, and when you're going to be talking about all of these, that it depends on your capability of how is it that you can interpret it. That means interpretation in this case will going to be key. We have a distal terrain model, distal elevation model. That means how high the land is, how low the land is, where are the values, where are the movements taking place. Now a lot of startups will come up which will start interpreting all of these type of images so that they can be given to the concerned authorities, maybe to
they can be converted to some practical purpose, which is what the question is. Okay, I'm not get excited about the space sector here in India. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You can be a techie who's good at algorithms and can help in training of AI for spatial recognition imagery. Create a fun app maybe which kids want to use. I mean, I don't know if I can go outside and see my photograph from space. Maybe it'll get me interested in it. These are opportunities available out there. Get started. This is the new thing, and it's going to be here to stay. It's going to be worth billions of dollars.